inflation and housing market.
But first, let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our channel and podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Honestly, call text all the time at 252-327-3257. We love helping people. We love talking to people. Do not be shy. Also, don't forget to get our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below.
Exactly. And today, really, we wanted to deep dive into the effect of the inflation and housing. And please stay tuned with us, because we wanted to unpack lots of material here.
Now, before I was a real estate agent, I've had many jobs in my life, but one of my jobs was AP Economics, and I love AP Economics. It was so much fun for me to teach, and I had really high pass rates all the time because my students were awesome. It had nothing to do with me. My students were awesome. But anyway, the two general problems with all economics is unemployment problem and inflation problem. Those are the two problems that we're supposed to deal with when they happen. So unemployment is easy to understand. What is it? People do not have jobs. Inflation, what is it? This is basically when prices are increasing. So that is really what we're talking about today. The price is increasing, and how does it affect us as real estate agents and you as the home buyer when it comes to when we're dealing with inflation, and how do we handle it? How do we go from here? What is it? What can we do to mitigate? I know my lawyerly words. What can we do to make sure that that doesn't affect us?
Exactly. And basically, what is the cause of inflation?
There's many causes to our inflationary problems right now. Basically, a lot had to do with COVID, which again, out of our control. And more than that, had to do with other things. But basically, what is inflation? It's the increasing average of the market goods. That's how they have a market goods of 400 items that they watch at the CPI. And they watch what these prices are. And we're talking about tuna, housing, cars. These are all part of the market basket of things that they look at. And they see if the prices are increasing, now we know we have inflation.
Exactly. And here we really wanted to niche to one of those 400 items, which is housing market and home values, and how influenced by this economy changes.
Okay, so basically there's a couple issues that can cause inflation. One is giving a shortness of supply, which means all money is concentrated on getting supplies that are too few. Exactly. Few items, which is going to cause the price of the cost. But if everybody wants this one coat and the coat costs $20, and a million people want that one coat that's $20, just using a basic example, and there's only one coat, who's going to end up getting the coat? The person who showed up with the most amount of money in this 100 people and says, no, I'll give you 25, I'll give you 30. And if everybody wants this coat, what's going to happen is going to go to the highest price. That is what, and basically now that coat is going to cost the $60 that somebody walked away with, right? In my little example. That means that the price of that coat just increased. It's inflationary. So the next time they come to the market to sell that coat, they want to sell it for $60. This is true with houses too. Houses are a bigger ticket item than clothing, but that is how inflation gets caused.
Therefore, basically demand for the property is going to go higher, which resulting in the raised home prices.
It could also be because there's no supply as well. So if we take out the supply, we used to have 100 coats, and now there's only one. That one coat that 100 people need, and there used to be 100 coats, one for all of us, that coat is going to be much more worthwhile.
Exactly.
Now, this is true with houses too. I'm just using a simple example of a coat, but because winter is coming, right? Even though it's super 80 degrees outside, winter is coming, and coats are something that we need just like we need houses all the time.
And on the other side, as mortgage interest rate is raises, basically offset the cost of the inflation, making some of the buying power gets weakened. No?
Right, let me explain that a little bit more detail. So if the government is econ teacher, right? So the government, he taught physics, but the government comes in and says, we need to fight inflation, we need to fight unemployment. How do they do that? Well, one of the things they're going to do is they're going to increase the interest rates. Higher interest rates hurt us when we're talking about buying a home, because it means that only people who are truly qualified to buy a home are going to be able to buy a home, because it's going to price people out of the market, which is the hard part because we're fighting inflation. Exactly. So the buying power is weakened because there are going to be less buyers who qualify for a house because prices are increasing on the house. Also, the monthly mortgage payment on those houses are going to increase in this time. You can always refi later, but when you're buying a house, understand you're coming up with a 7.5% interest rate at the filming of this video. That's just what it is on the market today.
Exactly. Now we wanted to basically talk about impact of the inflation in detail on the housing.
Right, so people were last year who called us and said, we're going to wait. That's what they told us last year when the interest rates were 3%. Now they call us and say, I can't afford to buy a home. And I feel really bad for that because they didn't want to listen because they said, oh, the market's going to crash. I hate those market's going to crash in a week. Market's going to crash. It's been crashing since I've been watching YouTube and it hasn't crashed yet, right? And YouTube came out in 1995? I don't know, but it hasn't crashed despite all the YouTubers telling me it has because inflation means prices are increasing. That is going to include housing too. Rents are going up, inflation's going up on our rents, going up on our houses. And so that means the cost of houses are going up. And then you're getting the double whammy of the high interest rate. So that monthly payment is going up, which is pricing people out.
And this rate of increase actually is more than your wage and your saving account in the bank. That's why taking action is always good.
Right. And also I want to point out, a lot of people say, oh, I should have done it 5 years ago. I should have bought a house 3 years ago. I should have bought a house last year. You're ready when you're ready. When you should never ever look at the past and say, I should have done something because you weren't ready at that moment in time. Maybe I should have bought a house in the 9th grade. I don't know. But I wasn't ready to buy a house in the 9th grade. That's
Exactly.
for sure.
Like one simple example that might be not even real. Let's look at like a condo you're buying right now, $150,000, and with the inflation of the 10%, base of that means another $15,000 comes into it, meaning that the next year this house price is condo price is gonna start from $165,000. Therefore, you need to look that all these $15,000 worth for me to wait another year.
With more inflation, so that
More
again,
inflation, do I have that much of saving that I can cover that $15,000?
but again, not just that, because that's going to go into a mortgage, so it's not going to go into your savings account. But it is going to say your monthly payment's going to be higher. But if you wait even more, I cannot tell you the future. I do not have a crystal ball. But if the interest rates continue to go up and the inflation continues to go up, that means next year we could be back to the early 90s where we're in the 10%. I do not know. I hope not. I hope wrong. But they are trying to fight inflation. How do they stop that? They stop you from buying a home. However, if you go into a home, you are locking a home, you're locking a price, you are not getting out of that, you're getting a fixed rate, that payment is going to be the same. So if inflation happens again and there's another 10% increase, you're already hedged against that. Now you're in the better position because you got yourself out of that rat race of increasing 10%. So now you bought it, maybe it was 165, but now next year again, it's another 20%, so now it's going to be 185.
Exactly. Now we wanted to basically identify the bargains in this increasingly expensive world.
Right. So, I mean, if you're looking for financial things, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the best financial terms you can get. You're going to look at your tax credits. You're going to look at how you can make sure that your payments go down in the future. You're going to be a smart online shopper. You're going to be a smart person when you're getting a mortgage too, because you're going to educate yourself on what happens when you get to the 20% PMI. Can you get rid of that PMI, which would cause your interest rate, cause your monthly payment to go down? Can you stomach that PMI for a certain amount of time until that goes away? And if the answer to that is yes, then you are in a good position to buy the house. And that's not even refinancing. That's just tell the bank I want to get rid of it.
Exactly. And also you need to study some of the global event that happens, like as China's economy grows or Indians' crop failure, that is all affecting all global prices, including housing as one of the 400 items.
Right, because where do we get certain things? Where do we get the screws to make certain things? Like there's just certain parts of our things.
Exactly.
It's a global world that we live in.
And also for this, you need to really research and have some smart shopping strategy that we were talking here. No,
I would say don't be afraid of those high interest rates because you're locking yourself in, and you shouldn't be afraid and say the interest rates are going to keep me away, because the interest rates, if they keep you away, means that you're going to stay away and not get that growth, you're not hedging yourself against inflation. You're setting yourself up for even more failure in the future. That's the opportunity cost of waiting. So more than that, let's talk about how do you really do that? How do you look for the deals?
Basically evaluating a strategy to avoid being a victim of increasing prices.
So you want to look at the values of the homes, look at the trends of the homes, look at the location of the home. You want to look at your budget, look at your savings,
Exactly.
understand all the government programs out there for a mortgage out there. What can help you mitigate getting into a house, getting into your own house? And that way you can hedge yourself against inflation, not worry about it, and because you're in the comfort of your own home that you own.
Exactly. Or you can really invest, my wife said in another video, like in gold or stocks that grow with the inflation and can safeguard you against the inflation.
But if you're in a house, that your security and safety of your own house, which is your shelter at the very least, is secure because it is yours. And that is the very basic function of a house. Forget the rest of the stuff. You want to secure yourself in a home.
Do you want to add any items?
No, I think I talked a lot.
Okay. And what you wanted to do?
I think we should.
Okay. And thank you for being a good audience. And please call us if you wanted to purchase home or sell your home in Greenville or outside of this state. And call us at 252-327-3357. And also support our channel and YouTube and podcast by subscribing in it. Thank you.